Welcome to a brand new show on Oshkosh Media, Life TV. My name is John Nieman, Executive Director of Father Carr's Place To Be, and welcome to the Place To Be. Why this show and why this title? I love Oshkosh. It's my hometown. I love what goes on in Oshkosh, the events, the people, the places. And so I thought to myself, this is the place to be, Oshkosh. And we're going to feature on this show events that happen in Oshkosh for not-for-profits, groups that do things, and volunteers. I'm passionate about volunteers and volunteering. And I guess it's been that way for me since I was a child. My family used to volunteer at church. It was just part of the way of our life in doing things. And then in school, in high school and college, I went out and volunteered with certain groups and did certain things. And then raising my own family, I took them along with me to volunteer events. It was just a way of life for me, and I appreciate the work of volunteers. Volunteering has changed since COVID hit. I started at Father Carr's right before COVID, and then COVID hit, and there was a big change. We had to ask some volunteers who were older or had health problems not to come in. And nobody knew what to expect with COVID, so a lot of places suffered because they didn't have the volunteer help that they needed. Now, Father Carr's Place to Be relies on volunteers and on donors. We only have 2 paid staff, including myself. So volunteers at Father Carr's Place to Be play an important role in what we do and what we do in our community. I look at my sponsors. I have 2 sponsors for the show, financial sponsors. One is Father Carr's Place to Be, and one is the Oshkosh Herald. When you hear the Oshkosh Herald, you think of community. They report on all of the local news going on in our community, and I'm so proud to have them as a sponsor. My set design sponsor is Ubloom, Brian at Ubloom. He started out small. He has his own business now. He does wonderful work. So that's what my show is about. I want to highlight individuals in our community, volunteers who make a difference in our community, whether it is at Father Carr's Place to Be or whether it is at any other not-for-profit. We support volunteers. We cherish our volunteers. And volunteers do make a terrific difference in our community. I invite you to send me suggestions. If you know of a not-for-profit coming up that you'd like me to focus on this show, please give me a call or email me. My phone number, my personal cell phone is 920-279-9873, or my email is my name, John Nieman, at fathercarrs.org. I'm always looking to learn more about other not-for-profits in our community and what they're doing and what events they have and how they're supporting our community. Because for me, it's all about community. It's all about collaboration. It's all about working together. I'm very thrilled that I can have this brand new show with the support of Oshkosh Media and the support of our sponsors, Father Carr's, the Oshkosh Herald, and Ubloom. So stay tuned as we plan to be on for a long time, bringing you everything going on in Oshkosh, because Oshkosh is the place to be. We're going to take
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for help with food, healthcare, and other resources.
211, how can I help you?
Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211, get connected, get help.
I'm not your charity case.
I am not your excuse to buy a new dress for the annual fundraiser.
I am not the poster child for your big donation.
I am out of debt and in my own home.
I am off opioids.
I'm graduating on time and on my way to a great job.
I am.
We are.
We are.
We are.
What it means to live united.
Welcome back, and I'm very proud to announce our first guest for our inaugural show of The Place to Be is Tom Simon, Executive Director at Habitat for Humanity. Welcome.
Thank you, John.
And thank you for rearranging your schedule and being here to be our guest. Habitat for Humanity, you hear so much about it. What are you all about?
Well, I think for Habitat for Humanity, people sometimes get wrong what we do and what we don't do. I mean, people think of us as housing, but really Habitat is a spirit, and a spirit that you see in just the faces of the families that we work with and the people that help those families. I mean, when you wear this logo or you work or you're with a family with Habitat, you see that we're really trying to bring people together to change lives, to build community. And really, it's almost as much those we are helping, we help ourselves. For example, the child on the screen right now, you're seeing the child of a mom who was in an abusive relationship, who fled where she was and boarded a bus and said, I need to go someplace. And she ended up in Oshkosh. Ironically, or fittingly, she ended up first at the Place to Be. And then over years, and then going around, that lot behind that boy is right now a home. And it was dedicated in January of this last year. There's a mom with 6 children in that home.
Wow.
And that boy, for the first time in his life, could invite a friend to come over to his house to stay overnight.
You see the joy in his eyes. And when you first shared that story with me, it was just, it made me tingle, because it was what you were saying. It's neighbors helping neighbors, people helping people, but somebody just got on a bus, left an abusive relationship, ended up in Oshkosh. We gave her shelter and food and took care of her for a while, and then you continued on with that process, and now she has her own home.
Yes, and we talk about in Habitat, the beginning of our mission statement is God, showing God's love in action. And the reality is, for all of us in our lives, we all need help of some sort. And sometimes we need the help of helping somebody else. And I use the example of this woman. She was just a fantastic woman, that she wanted something better. And that's all she had. But when she kept sharing that story with people, people all along the way wanted to help her. And we wanted to help her find that she could help herself. And the reality is, in the Habitat world right now, there's going to be, we don't know with COVID what's happening, but pre-COVID, 2 to 3 million people across the globe were volunteering for Habitat for Humanity some way. We were helping 1 million people get housing over the globe. And frankly, there was a Habitat home being finished every 4 minutes in the world.
Wow.
So here in Oshkosh, it's at a micro scale. We are doing 39 homes since 1989. But right now, as we speak, there's a volunteer crew that I went by on Monroe Street building a home right now.
And they're all volunteers?
All volunteers. What's unique about the Habitat is, I said we are not a building program. The building is what we end up doing. But what we're really doing is that we have another single mom with 3 children. And there's a crew that's meeting her, getting to know her name, and knowing her as a person. And together, at the end of the day, they will have built something together.
And that's part of your program, is it not, also that the family that is chosen participates? And they're not just handed the keys to a house.
Right. It's very important, we believe in life, that you should be given a hand up, not a handout. And when you are down, you have 2 choices. You can wallow in being down, or you can look up. And if you want to get up, sometimes you need a hand. And let's face it, when there's no more joy than when you reach down, you help someone get up. And then the next year, they're helping you help somebody else get up.
Right. And you can physically see it with your program, because I use the same terminology. I always use the hand up. And this is going to fit in so well with Habitat. And you give them the tools to do the hand up, because they're physically helping, which I think gives somebody pride. I mean, I was brought up that way too. You have more pride if you do something yourself than somebody just hands it to you, because you take ownership of it and you respect it and you take care of it.
Yeah, we jokingly say no one washes a rental car. You know, when you
hey, I've never heard that one before, and that's pretty good.
When you own something, you treat it differently. And the other thing is you must own is the solution to your problem. You know, when we work with the families, it's tough love. I mean, they're with us for 13 to 15 months building a home. And you have to go through a selection process. You have to agree to volunteer 250 hours. You've got to help somebody else build their home.
So they're not volunteering for their home, they're volunteering for someone else's?
Both.
Okay. Oh.
We really feel that in helping yourself, you have to help somebody else. And when you go to somebody else's build site and you help them put up their home, you begin to realize that I'm not in this alone. If you look, for example, at the picture there, that's on a different program we run, but you see all these people working with a homeowner in the center there. And you suddenly realize that someone loves you, someone cares for you. And what you see, the helper, is that you see somebody needed this. And together, at the end of the day, that whole yard is going to look better. And then when we go by, often like the volunteer in the front, she's been with us several times now. She helped us out by accident once. Something happened with a party she was supposed to go to, and she said, what the heck? I'm in town, I have nothing to do, I'll volunteer with you guys. She's been with us ever since.
Wow.
And I think it's largely, you see the smile on those workers' faces. None of them were paid for that. But I still have the guys asking, how's our homeowner doing?
That's
our homeowner. And frankly, from the homeowner's perspective, so many of them have been in situations where nobody cared, or they were also in situations where they kept trying and failed. You go and you build your own home. And then when you are handed the keys to it and you realize, I did this, then nothing is a problem anymore.
Right. You hit that obstacle and you've accomplished what you needed to.
And you've learned that you can do careers, you can do raising your family, you can get involved in your community.
Yeah. What I love about your program too, because we participated in it through Thrivent.
Oh, sure.
Thrivent is so huge on giving out their grants and their monies to help with this and organizing teams. And I helped once, and then all they kept saying is, please do not give him power tools. So I have a funny story which should tell you why I don't need power tools. As a pastor, the parsonage was taken care of by the church council. They always took care of everything. Well, one time in the Upper Peninsula, I thought I would change the toilet seat. I thought, how hard can it be to put a new toilet seat on?
Sure.
Well, the screw was stuck and it was rusty, and I took a hammer and I took a screwdriver and I hit it and I cracked the whole bowl.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So no one gives me power tools anymore, but I was able to do other things at the Habitat build without power tools, because there's so many different things that can be done. And the biggest thing, like you said too, I think, was getting to know the people. To me, that is the best thing. Getting to know the homeowner, the family, and all the people of why are they giving up their time to volunteer.
Yes. Well, I think because you're getting something out of it. I think it's our responsibility in the nonprofit world to engage people. I often feel my philosophy is when someone wants to help somebody, our job is to introduce themselves to each other and get out of the way. And the reality of a home build is a lot of people volunteer for us because they want to try something new. I mean, Rob Robbie, our construction guy, he's one of the most patient men you'll ever meet. And if we were trying to just build homes, well, we would never use volunteers. We would just use contractors.
Right.
But the reality is we want to teach people like you. Sure, yes, you busted one toilet, but I think if we had done it enough times with you, you would have found that you could have learned to do it.
Right.
And frankly, by your learning how to do it, you teach the homeowner that they can learn to do something that they're not comfortable with.
Right.
And frankly, when we look at the world, we look at the problems out there, we need to be able to tell ourselves we can do these things. So when I get a group of bank tellers that have never have a clue how to put up siding, I do smile at Rob, but we go through it slowly. And at the end of the day, those bank tellers have learned something that they never thought they could do. Well, what's to prevent them from going to work with a food program, to go with something else?
And what you bring up is an important point, because volunteerism has been in my blood since I was little. I've run volunteer programs, and my biggest thing is that a person should walk away from a volunteer experience with some sort of education.
Yes.
Not that they're doing a repetitive job, but why they're doing it, who they're benefiting. And that would be the same thing. They've learned to do something, like you said, even putting up siding, but they can share that skill with someone else, or they can share that experience with someone else, because the best way to recruit volunteers is word of mouth.
Yes.
And if they had a really great experience at your site,
Right.
they're going to share it. And I do remember how big it was. Everyone wanted to do Habitat. Families wanted to do it. They wanted, because they wanted something to do together. But now that brings up a question. Is there an age?
Yes.
Is it 18? Or?
Yeah, actually, if I could, yes. Most of the time, the easy answer is 18. There are some tasks that you can do if you're 16, but then you have to have a guardian with you. And it's a little bit more complicated. So generally, I say 18. And the reality is, because at Habitat, sometimes we do our job too well. People don't realize how dangerous it is to build a house. But we've had in the Oshkosh area over the last 15 years, our records show over 7,800 people have volunteered with Habitat. Wow. That would literally mean that 1 out of every 11 people in the Oshkosh area at some point has picked up a hammer. Our insurance company is terrified of that. So we have to be really careful. And I will say to this, anyone considering it, you don't have to know any construction experience. We do have very well-trained staff who will guide you. Okay. We also do have volunteers, we call them our regulars, who have been there many times. Okay. And so we go very slowly through the process. And since we have so many more people, we're not like a contractor. If you take 5 minutes to do your first nail, well, that's fine, because there's 10 other people here doing that as well. Right. And then finally, what you'll find, though, is most tasks, if you're shown a couple times, and then suddenly the volunteer coordinator steps back and lets you do it yourself, you'd be shocked what you can learn. So, and it is safe. It's a really great place to volunteer.
Let's talk about one of my wife's favorite stores, Habitat. The Restore. Restore. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the Restore is, we jokingly call it if like Goodwill and Home Depot had a kid. And the Habitat Restore is on 1640 South Kohler Avenue in Oshkosh. And it's a place where I would say things that would have gone to a landfill are instead available for sale. When you look at that group, that's a large missionary group that was coming to Oshkosh for a festival a few years back, and they volunteered at the Restore.
Wow.
And behind there, you will find many, many building supplies, many used furniture, just about anything. It's like a rummage sale for building supplies.
It is, though, because you can find, she comes home with stuff that she wasn't even looking for.
Yes. Yes, and it's pennies on the dollar. We don't price it to make every dollar a dime that we could out of it. We price it so that it's going back into the community. See, what we see as part of the mission is people are welcome to donate to the Restore. I see you have the contact information up.
Yep.
And if you call us in advance, we'll say what we can take and what we can't. Remember, we are trying to sell the items to the public. We're not just looking for things which should go to the garbage. And those are various pictures of our Restore. And you can see in the back some of the materials that we might have. We get tons of office furniture, also a lot of used furniture. We have a number of students who come to our Restore in August to decorate their apartments and then donate it all back in May.
See?
Because we'll pick it up. And we will pick up from homes. If you call our number, you can arrange a pickup if it's enough stuff.
Okay.
And right now we're servicing everywhere from Fond du Lac County over to Green Lake County and Winnebago County. So it's quite a broad area that we're going. But the Restore in the course of a year will sell over $400 and some thousand of material that would have been going directly to the landfill. What we do with that, you showed the earlier pictures, we put it right back into the houses.
So just for our audience who are either listening to us on the radio station, 101.9 FM, or watching us on Life TV or even on YouTube, what are some of the major items you can't take?
Yes, I'm afraid a lot of times with older things with paint, there's a lot of concerns about lead. We have to be very careful of that. We also have to have things that are in working condition. For example, some people often try to donate old power tools to us that just don't work anymore. Okay. And so, again, my suggestion is just call. Sorry, one more that comes up. We get opened paint. And I'm afraid that that's something that we just can't take because we can't resell it to the community. But what we do is if you call ahead and just describe the situation to us, we'll often ask you to just text us a picture. And we try to really work hard with people that if they're going to take the time to donate to us, that we make sure that what we say we can really take for them.
And I do have to say, so your store is staffed by volunteers and paid staff.
That is correct, yes.
Because they're so helpful in telling you what the items are or what you can use the items for, or sometimes you have creative people there who show you, there's an item, but they show you what it can be, what it can be made into or something.
Yeah, you brought up, it's repurposing, we call it. You would not know how many people have taken old dresser drawers and turned them into a standing garden. It's amazing to see. To see pallets that have been turned into fences, to see old furniture that's been repurposed in artwork, different things. A lot of high schools, I recommend that if you were doing like drama production, you can deck out the stage for a very cheap price. And like I said, college students are some of our most creative spenders because they could walk in with $250 and probably deck out a whole apartment with that amount of money.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. So the money that the Restore makes, that goes back into helping build the houses?
That is correct. Literally approximately 50 to 60% of our gross revenue comes from the Restore sales. And this is all stuff that, like I said, people would be paying tipping fees to have it removed to the dump. So many businesses, like I look at the chairs that we're sitting on, the table. Frankly, we have things like this at the Restore. And we really recommend that if you're helping out somebody's just starting out or something, a Restore is an excellent place to get them that kitchen table, that couch, just the first things to get going.
Yeah. And I do have to talk about Liz. She will read Father Carr's Facebook posts and see what we need. And she will call me and say, we have this, would you like it? Whether it was a filing cabinet, whether it was a chair, whether it was a desk. And it was so cool because to me that brought back the whole word of community. We're not competing against each other.
That's correct.
We're working together for each other. In the same instance that you guys were a sponsor of our bridge walk that we just did this year. That was so cool and so amazing to do.
Well, the way we see it is that we should complement each other, not compete. And the reality is, you know, we got that cabinet for free. And yes, we could have sold it and made a couple dollars, but we really feel that you, for example, at the Place To Be, our future family might be sleeping at your place tonight. And so what we look for is our real motto. Liz Marita is our Restore manager, just fantastic. Liz Last, our program manager.
I know I got confused because you have two Liz's.
Yes. And then Rob Robbie, our construction manager. Our real goal is collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. The number one thing for us is we're always looking for families in the future to build with. And so the greatest gift anyone could give us is to recommending a family to build with Habitat.
Which, you know, when you think about it, how do the families then hear about Habitat? How do they know that they can even be part of the Habitat program?
Sure, thank you. I mean, it's one of the reasons I'm here today. I mean, every April 15th through June 15th, we are taking applications to build with Habitat for Humanity. You can reach Liz Last at our contact information up there on the screen. And what we are looking for people that are making 30 to 60% of the county median regional income. Another way to put it is if you've been in a position where you're working at a service level job. For example, a homeowner 2-3 builds ago, she worked at Quick Trip. She was the nicest person in the world, but could never save up for the down payment. I just came from a gentleman that I was just talking to where his wife's trying to run a food truck, but she's going blind. And so they're trying to get by on one service income that he has. If you're just in a situation where you have a job where you're making some income, but you're just not getting ahead, you are probably the perfect person to talk to Habitat. And we recommend that every April 15th to June 15th, if you know somebody that's saying, well, I can't get a down payment, or the rent keeps going up, tell them talk to Habitat. Okay. Even if it isn't our application season, you can at least learn, could I qualify for this program? And we make it our point to tell people about other programs that we think that they should qualify for. Really, we do believe that it takes all of us. Again, Habitat is not building houses. We're bringing people together. That's our goal. And we're making a better community. And that's how we do it.
So with the application process, is there someone there to help work with them? So from the application being accepted, what's the time frame? Or is there not a usual time frame?
Yes, when we go through our applications, and this year, it was a very difficult process because we received 26 applications, and we could build with 3 families.
Did you see that because of what's going on with rent and eviction? Is that up, or is that just a normal number?
Yeah, just a quick sideways a bit on this is that housing is a national problem right now. And frankly, we in Oshkosh should be thankful that we still have relatively affordable housing. But as we were talking before the show, that's why so many people are coming here. Rent on the coast is insane. People are moving from the West Coast to this region with nothing more than they've heard that Wisconsin is more affordable. I mean, when somebody gets into our program and gets accepted then, and it's a tough choice, because we have to pick out 3-4 families from a pile. We do try to work with those that didn't make the cut. What could they do next time around? We try to tell them about other agencies. But then once you're in the program, you're in for a year or more. It's not just building a house. It's learning budgeting skills. We need you to be able to buy this home at the end of the process. People are not given a home.
Yeah.
We set the payment at what we feel you can afford.
Okay.
But for 30 years, you may be paying it forward because those home payments go towards the next build. Another thing we do is we have you go through financial education classes. We have you do community service. We have you help somebody else build their home. All because we need you to build up yourself. Again, at the end of the day, you are given keys not to a home you built, but to the life you built. You are stronger now. You can handle just about anything.
Right.
And you are home. Literally, you are home.
Yes. And I like what you just said because Father Cars is the same way with that. We have a life enrichment program, so we don't really call ourselves a homeless shelter,
right?
Because we try to give everyone a job. They get the financial tools, the financial support, any other support they need. So our goal is for them to be with us and to get out and get on their own and have all the tools that they need so they can manage their life then by themselves. So it's very similar to what you're doing with the families. It's like the next step.
Right.
After they leave us, as one did, now they have a chance to get their own home, but they still need all those tools when it comes to budgeting and all of that other stuff that goes along with it.
No, and I encourage that there should be even more collaboration between groups like the Place To Be and Habitat for Humanity. We all seen that we need to break the cycle of poverty, not just feed somebody,
right.
Not just give them a bed for the night. I see even that when they're done with their Habitat house, many of them are single moms who still need help. Where can my kids go after school? Boys and Girls Club is a great collaborator with us. We do work with the food programs. We do work with vocational programs. A lot of our people, we encourage them to go on to further education. Our goal is really not to just say we're done. Our goal is just, you've won this victory. Now where do you want to go next?
I want to thank you for joining us for our first show of The Place To Be Oshkosh. I want to thank Tom Simon, our guest, our sponsors, Father Car's Place To Be, the Oshkosh Herald, and U-Bloom. Thank you very much. This was a great time, and hope you'll keep watching us, The Place To Be Oshkosh.